Dorothy, and the purpose of this podcast is to help listeners and viewers learn about what different college experiences are like or different careers they may be interested in. And our episode today is sponsored by Education Innovations, where we help guide families through college and graduate decisions, admission decisions, as well as life beyond. So, today's episode, we will be having Daquan, who is going to be talking about his journey. His episode is entitled Born in Brooklyn, Built at TSU, A Creator's Path to the Spotlight. So, we're going to go ahead and bring him on so we can get this conversation started. Brooklyn,
Hey,
thanks
what's
for
good?
coming
What's good?
on.
Hey, thank you for
Th-
having me.
Absolutely. So, your episode is entitled Born in Brooklyn, Built at TSU. So, you're from Brooklyn. How did you hear about TSU? And some people may like, what is TSU? Can you tell us, spell out what TSU
Yes.
is? Because somebody may think it's a different university. We want them to know what university it is.
Gotcha. So yeah, I was born in Brooklyn. My parents moved to Atlanta. So I did do grade school in Atlanta, but I claim Brooklyn because I love the culture. My grandmother, she lived in Brooklyn and Queens, and I would go up there every summer. So it was kind of like I still live there. And I just love the culture. So funny story, TSU, which is Tennessee State University, the real TSU, not Texas. Um, I ended up actually first starting out at a culinary school
Mm,
because I thought that's what I wanted to do with my life. I thought I wanted to be a chef. My mom, she went to Le Cordon Bleu, so she would always cook like these puff pastries and all these different dishes, and I thought I wanted to be a chef because I watched her, and I would cook in the kitchen with her sometimes, so I know how to cook. And I thought I wanted to go to culinary school, so I ended up going to Johnson and Wales in North Miami. And as you can tell, as an 18-year-old, fresh out of high school, being on South Beach, attending a college in Miami, it wasn't going to work. And I also ended up not going to Johnson and Wales for culinary. I went for marketing.
wow.
Yeah, it's a little awkward because you think going to a culinary school is all culinary, but Johnson and Wales had other different majors, and I was like, I could cook, but I kind of want to do the marketing thing because I wanted to be like this mogul at the time before everything that he had going. Diddy was like my role model because he had
Oh.
everything going on.
Mhm.
So I ended up saying, well, I want to go for marketing. Ended up getting kicked out that school, long story short, because I was not going to class. And I ended up coming back home to stay with my parents. And my mom was just telling me, she was like, hey, you need to figure out what you want to do with your life. Like, it's cool that you're here, but
Mhm.
you need to figure it out.
Mhm.
Whether that's a college dorm room, or your job in an own apartment, or your business.
Mhm.
So over the summer, I was working a bunch of odd jobs. I worked at Turner Field doing janitorial work. I
Mhm.
worked at the aquarium. I worked at the World of Coke.
Mhm.
And I did a bunch of odd jobs. And my mom was like, hey, well, if you figure out where you want to go and you raise half the money for school, then I'll put up the other half.
Mm.
And like I said, I was hustling. And as I'm cleaning these bathrooms and doing all these odd jobs, I'm listening to the Breakfast Club, Charlemagne. This is back when they were like in their prime of just just going crazy, viral for everything, and it was entertaining. And I would sit there and be like, "Wow, I want to get paid just to talk to celebrities and just to talk to people."
Mhm.
And at the time, radio was more so behind the mic and it wasn't visual. So I
Mm.
would listen and imagine that I was in these places. And I was like, wow, I could really see myself doing that.
Mhm.
Because I'm the type of person, I like to be heard and not seen.
Mhm.
So I ended up applying to TSU, Tennessee State University, because I saw they had a communications department. And I saw they had a radio station there. I looked them up. I knew some people from my old high school that went there that said it was a good school.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, she was always, of course, she wanted me to go wherever I wanted to go, right? But she
Mm-hmm.
always stressed, go to HBCU. Go to
Mm-hmm.
HBCU. Get the HBCU experience. My mom, she went to college, but she didn't go to an HBCU. I can't remember the school, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like community college or something like that. But she didn't go. My stepfather, he went to South Carolina State. He
Mm-hmm.
crossed Mega Psi Phi, so he had that experience. My sister, she was the first one out the house. She went to Howard University.
Oh.
So my mom was really like, hey, you can go wherever you want, but HBCU, 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 scholarship, scholarship, scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
And TSU was where I ended up. That's where I did the college tour. And I was like, oh wow, like this is the actual radio station. They have a TV station. So I could really make some things happen. So that's how I ended up at Tennessee State University.
Wow. So I just want to say I'm thankful that you shared your true story. A lot of people try to pretend like they had it all made and
Hmm.
they didn't, change their mind. I think your story is more common than most people think about changing their mind or starting something and saying, you know what, this is not for me. Maybe I might change my major, change my school. This is common. I like that you didn't just say, hey, you know what, I'm going to stick with this, even though this is not for me. That's a waste of
Hmm.
money. This is, you're not going to be happy. And I
Right.
like that you share that so that people understand and young people especially understand if it's not for you, it's not for you. Make that change and
Hmm.
do what you want to do. So,
Most definitely.
um, so Brooklyn to TSU. So what exactly did you study at TSU? And then were you involved in clubs? Did you get involved at the radio station? Did you
Mhm.
start to develop, your career or your business there? Like, what did you do?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when it came to me being at TSU, when I was a freshman, I had work study.
Mhm.
And when I was choosing to where to do my work study, I was a mass comm major. Usually, when you go into college, you kind of like I'll go undecided, just to see where I fit in or what I really want to do. But like I previously said, I already knew I want to do media, I want to do radio, I want to do this. So I became a mass comm. I registered as a mass communications major. Communication, mass comm, same thing. It's all built up under a big umbrella because communication is everything. That's marketing, that's networking, that's media, journalism, broadcasting, everything. So my umbrella was under journalism and broadcasting.
Mm.
So I was like, hey, well, if this is my major, then why don't I just do my work study at the radio station?
Mm.
So what's funny is I ended up working the front desk at the radio station.
Mhm.
And I would always talk. It was this girl, her name was Robin Champagne. And we're still great friends to this day, like all that good stuff. And she was sitting next to me and she was like, we're just talking. And she's like, hey, like, I know you're a freshman, but we need to see how we can get you on the radio. So
Oh.
she ended up introducing me to this guy. His name was Devacchio. And like I don't know if it was just God or what it was, but he ended up coming and he was like, hey, I'm developing a freshman show. Usually freshmen are supposed to shadow shows, because as a freshman you come in and you might just be playing on the mic, you know what I'm saying, and
Mhm.
it's $3 million worth of equipment sitting in the radio station. So we're supposed to shadow, but he was like, hey, I'm a sophomore. I believe he was a sophomore at the time,
Mhm.
a sophomore or junior, one of those. And he was like, hey, I'm developing this freshman show. It's going to be called, well, I don't think we had a name yet, but he
Mhm.
was like, I already got two other girls and I think you would be perfect for it. You want to try out or whatever. And
Mhm.
I think we did like a mock, we did a mock show. And then after that, he was like, hey, I want to produce y'all show. And we got the okay from the radio station manager, Mr. Ritchie, he was a great general manager, great station runner,
Mhm.
and he allowed it to happen. And my first show was Flexing and Finessing. It was called Flexing and Finessing, a freshman show. And also while I was at school, I joined Collegiate 100,
Yeah.
which is, you can be, it's 100 black men nationally, but on college campuses, Collegiate 100. In 2017, I became a member of the Beta Omicron chapter of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated. What else did I do? I was a mentor. I was a university ambassador for freshmen, because I was doing a lot as a freshman, when I came in. So when I became a sophomore and a junior, I was like, hey, I want to give this same type of encouragement to the freshmen coming in, so they know, hey,
Hmm.
you could do all this great stuff at TSU. So those were the little things that I was involved in when I was at TSU.
You said little. That's big things. I mean,
That is a lot. That was a lot.
yeah, you seem like you were strategic and you didn't just fall into it. Like you knew exactly how to move. Was
Yeah.
somebody from behind like saying, "Hey, when you go there, you know, go to the radio station, do this."
No, actually, no. Like I said, my mom, she was always just strong on, if you're gonna go for it, do it all out. Go for what you actually want to go to college for. Because again, I was at the other university really wasting time, wasting dollars, wasting money.
Mhm.
And when she had me actually sit down and say, hey,
Mhm.
what do you want to do? Let's figure out what school is best for you to go to. Like, I don't care if it's Georgia perimeter. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? If you can get you're all out of Georgia perimeter, then that's where you're gonna go. But it was just something about TSU that just drove me there. And like I said, the connection that I made with the upperclassmen like Robin, because usually when you think of college, you think, oh, freshmen, they get picked on, the upperclassmen don't want to mess with them. But it was a completely different vibe. I joined the promotions team when I was a freshman. So I was actually getting paid to be on a promotions team because I worked work study there.
Mm.
So I was doing a bunch of meet and greets and helping facilitate that, promoting around campus, making sure people know about the radio station, all that good stuff. So I guess it was the people that surrounded me,
Mhm.
that I surrounded myself with, because I'm the type of person, I feed off energy. And the way I met you, we just started
Yes.
talking, but we connected.
Right. You want to tell the people
So
how we
I
met?
yeah, we met at the Aware Fest in the HBCU Aware Fest in Atlanta a couple weeks ago. I was down there for some other stuff and I just saw it and pulled up. So, maybe it was just divine for us to meet that way. But I'm an energy person and
Right.
I don't give my energy to everybody. I don't believe in, like, if you know me, you know that I'm gonna always say I don't fake kick it. I can't fake kick it with people.
Right.
So it was just really the energy that I was around that really pushed me to be better. Because Robin, she was the one that said, "Hey, like I know you're a freshman, but you need to go out for Collegiate 100." Like she said,
Mm.
those are the guys on campus that are polished. They wear suits. Everybody respects them. They're turned. They're about their organization. They're about actually what they say they're about. They don't joke. So she was one of the people that pushed me to do that, and also um pushed me to be in radio. So, it's like I said, it just happened that way.
So it seems like you also, but not only did you have all these jobs, because people can have jobs, but they don't have work ethic. It seems like you
Mhm.
have the work ethic, you know how to build relationships. So tell me what happened after you got out of school and maybe how these relationships helped you. What happened after? What happened after you graduated?
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay, so after I graduated, I still was in Nashville. I moved off campus my sophomore year because I just could not do I can't do the community showers. I just can't. I lived the freshman life. I was like, I can't do it. I need private bathroom. I need to be able to walk around how I want to walk around. Um, so I had my off-campus apartment. So I guess you could say I was already kind of responsible and established by then, because a lot of people, they stay on campus and then when they get off, they don't know about light bill, they don't know about rent, car note, all this
Oh.
extra stuff that comes along with the after effects of college. So I was already stable in that motion. It was more so, hey, how do I navigate in my career field outside of this?
Mhm.
I tried I had an internship at Bounce TV, because before you graduate, you're supposed to have an internship,
Mhm.
which I like,
Mhm.
because you just don't want to just get pushed off in the world and never have no type of experience. But the internship I had was with Bounce TV, and I could have had that job, but I walked away from it because I felt like I was giving everything that I had creatively to somebody that didn't want to give me an opportunity to showcase that.
Mm.
I felt like they wanted me in the background and they
Mm.
didn't want me as the face because I
Right.
was taken away from their formula. They had when I was doing the internship with them, I was actually on air some of the days because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an on air personality. I didn't want
Mm.
to produce shows for people. I didn't want to give away my ideas to people. And when
Right.
this guy ended up coming in and he was on tour for Kevin Hart or whatever, he had no ideas. And the owner of the station was like, hey, well, can you develop his show for him? Mind you, I wouldn't be on the show. So I'm giving
That's
you all
crazy.
my ideas for my show.
Right.
But he would let me, the owner would let me hop on his show from time to time. And when I would hop on his show, the ratings would be through the roof because I'm a young black guy. I'm giving my perspective on politics. I'm giving my perspective on all these controversial things that older people may not agree with. So I was
Right.
bringing that to their station. But again, I felt devalued. I felt like,
Ah.
okay, I feel like I'm a pawn. I'm here to help build this guy up. I'm here to make your show popping when you want it popping, but you're not giving me my own show. And I know I will have the audience because my people are like, when can we hear you? You're on this guy's show. We're only listening because you're on. So after that, I got real discouraged. I stopped doing media. I said, well, let me go ahead and just try to create my own formula,
Mm.
do my own thing. That was when podcasts started booming. I
Mhm.
graduated in 2018, December 2018, and we all know what happened in 2019. COVID hit. So by that time, the market just became oversaturated.
Mm.
Everybody and their mom had a podcast. Everybody did that. And I'm not saying that they weren't passionate about it, but it just seemed like the thing to do because people were in the house bored.
Mhm.
So I got real discouraged because I felt like nobody was paying attention to me.
Mhm.
And then once kind of COVID started dying down, I would do like things here and there. I would do little skits or not skits or, little hot topics with my people on Zoom.
Mhm.
After that stuff died down, COVID died down, I stopped doing it.
Mm.
And then I ended up getting my homegirl, her mom, actually was working. She works in media,
Mhm.
and this is the thing about me not utilizing my resources. I don't like asking for stuff a lot. You know what I'm saying? But she
Interesting.
ended up coming to me and saying, "Hey, I know you do this. Do you know what Bad Girls Club is?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know what Bad Girls Club is. I used to watch it on Oxygen. You talking about the fighting show?" She was like, "Yeah. Do you know Natalie Nunn? Do you know these people?" And I'm like, yeah, I know Natalie, but like, is she even a thing anymore? She's like, well, this new network named Zeus Network, they are giving her a show. And mind you, this is when Zeus was very new, but it started bubbling a little bit because I think they had the show called Baddies ATL or something like that with all the OG bad girls.
Mhm.
And she was like, well, they're having a show. Natalie is doing the show, and they're going around the country to different states, and they need people to set up media for them. They want to
Mm.
do media, they want to do all this stuff. And she said, I'm coming to you because I need your help.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, why not? And I ended up bringing them down here. They were filming the whole time, and in that span, I ended up setting up about three media outlets for them. I set up the club for them for their whole scene. My homie DJ Sunny D, rest in peace to him. He helped me organize that whole thing. We went viral. That was probably like the most watched episode. They got to fighting in the club. They done messed the guy's club up. It was crazy. And that was like the first time I ever got paid for a service. Like I had a check with a comma in it. I was like, oh, so I need to maybe continue to do this. And then just in that, I opened up a lot of relationships with the people who I helped put on. And I ended up getting with a radio station in Nashville through my homegirl. Her name is Christine B. She worked for another radio station, and I gave her that opportunity to interview the cast, and she ended up getting a lot of traction. And she was like, "Hey, we need to add you to the team," and that's how I got back rolling in my media game.
So when you say like I did a media setup, are you setting up events where people talk? What does that even mean?
So that means it's like a media run. So basically, let's say somebody's in the city, right? There's one point of contact, which is me. I'm the
Oh,
person that goes to, let's say, go to your show and say, "Hey, I got Natalie Nunn. She wants to get interviewed. They're filming for the TV show. They're paying. Do you want to do the interview?" And then you say, "Yeah, we'll do the interview." Boom. Okay, cool. I basically set the interview up for them.
mhm.
So a bunch of different people aren't reaching out. It's one point of contact, one person bringing an artist or whoever around the city to media outlets. They call it like a media circuit, but it's
Okay.
more so a media run. When you're promoting something, you're doing a media run. So I help set up their media run in their club.
Oh wow. So technically you can manage people or celebrities media. Is that what you're saying too?
No,
As
as far as their day to day when they're in the city.
okay.
So I was doing their day to day. They were here for about, I want to say like 5 days or something like that. So
Mhm.
within those 5 days, I said, well, hey, y'all are going to Streets 993. The interview is set up at 12 o'clock. Hey, y'all are going to Naturally Niche, her studio. The interview is set up here. Hey, the club on Saturday, we're doing a Cinco de Mayo theme because they were here for Cinco de Mayo, so why not? Hey,
Mhm.
we're doing a Cinco de Mayo theme at Calendars at this location. Y'all appearances here. We got the red carpet set up. We got this, that. Y'all are gonna have 5 bottles. Just make sure you show up here. So that's what I was doing.
Okay. So with the media person like you, do they contact you when they go to your city?
Hmm. Yep.
But what if have you ever does anybody ever contact you and say, "Hey, I don't want you to just be in your city. Can you set up something for me in, say, the whole southeast?" Or no, you're just
So
only.
they could, but I don't do that. Like I
Mhm,
said, that wasn't even my role. I
mhm.
was doing it because I had a personal relationship with the person that asked me.
Oh, got you.
And it
Mhm.
just unlocked like, oh well, hey, I could do this too. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
that's just more things to add to my resume. So if anybody ever says, well, have you ever had experience with setting up media runs for celebrities? Well, yes, I did it with Zeus Network for Baddie South when they came to Nashville. I did this, and this. So that's not to say somebody can't say, well, hey, do you know any DJs in Atlanta that will want to DJ a party for this person? Can you set that up for us? Like, there's no limits to that. It's just,
Oh,
it's
okay.
not my first, it's not my first calling. Like,
Right.
and it's not something that I kind of seek after. It's something I was doing for as a favor to for somebody else.
And so your first calling is I see you all over, me, like I
Yeah,
met you. Like I said, I was talking. Yeah, I took curse. I was talking shit at the HBCU Aware Fest,
we
and you,
was.
you know, and you was laughing. So I was like, "Oh, he's cool." Then we started talking, but I liked your energy. And then I didn't know. Again, I don't know who I didn't know who you were. And then you showed me what you do, and I was like, "Oh, wow, okay, you be really doing it." And I liked how you don't just say you do something, but you do it. Like you said, you would come on here, and you actually did.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but my question is, it looks like, you interview people or you like you said, you want to be on or you are an on-air personality. So,
Mhm.
and you have your thing, it's is it a podcast or radio station? And
It's a I want to call it it's a media company. So I do everything. I do radio, I do red carpet hostings, I do media person, I do content. I do everything and I do everything myself.
okay.
I started Brooklyn Media I want to say roughly 3 years ago.
Hmm.
When I realized that this industry, you're building somebody else's brand and
Hmm.
they never want to build yours.
That part.
Like you can be respected, but at the end of the day, if you work for a company, it's put my logo on there, take yours off.
Right.
Is it truly your content?
Mhm.
So working, like I said earlier, when I wanted to work for Breakfast Club, Hot 97, all that stuff, I saw that until I actually got into the field and was like, oh, this is not my content. This is not what I want to do. I
Mhm.
want to own my own stuff. I want to have
Right.
my own media company. I want to add people to this and still give them their own platform. Like it can be a collab. There's
Right.
no, oh, Brooklyn Media 24/7. No, it's Brooklyn Media and boom, Brooklyn
Right.
Media and it's Brooklyn. It's not strictly that. I'm not that type of person because I don't like that formula. I
Mhm.
went to CultureCon and I was sitting in the middle um of these big publications, right? And there were two black journalists between me, and they were just like, hey, you are killing it. For you to
You
be on this
are.
red carpet with all these big wigs, Ebony, Daily Mail, Neighborhood, to all these people, they say you can use your content on your page. We can't. We have to send it to them and they have to use it and we can repost it, but we can't say this is such and such radio, I mean such and such media platform. No, this is their content. So once I realized that you can't do that in that corporate space, I
Mhm.
wanted to create my own thing. So I started separating myself from the radio aspect and the whole conglomerate of it all
Mhm.
and working on my own media platform. And I've been able to, the things that I've learned from radio, and I'll say it was very beneficial. I have no issue with radio or anything like that, because everything that I've learned, I've taken and I've applied it to my own thing,
Mhm.
and everything was beneficial to me. So I've used that formula to get into the rooms that I've been able to get into just with my own platform and my name and how I would run it if I was a GM working for these. But I also understand business is business. Like I get it.
Right.
So it is what it is.
So, Brooklyn, since you worked for other people at first and you learned, like you said, that you wanted to own it on your own, I know as a business owner, sometimes at first it's difficult to monetize or make the amount of money that you want. How do you keep
Mhm.
going when sometimes it may be difficult to actually, get the money that you want? Like, how do you keep going and how do you keep pushing forward?
I got you.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question because that's one of the biggest things, when you feel like you're not making money, you say F it, right?
Yeah.
In the
Hmm.
beginning, when I was doing my podcast and I felt like nobody was paying attention, nobody was
Hmm.
doing that, I said F it. Then I
Hmm.
had a child in 2021
Hmm.
and I was like, hey, I want to provide for her. I want her
Hmm.
to know, hey, you don't have to stick to this job. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
If you don't want to, and if you really got the will to do it. That's why everything for me is Brooklyn, Brooklyn, Brooklyn. Like even going to where I was born, where I'm from, X, Y, and Z, the me just being inspired by just the Brooklyn mentality. That's why I named my child Brooklyn because that brought inspiration to me. So now she's the inspiration for me, which is why everything is Brooklyn media. My daughter's Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn. I love the culture of Brooklyn because it all is inspiring.
Hmm.
So that's what keeps me going. And also, I'm a firm believer in if I get one good thing, one
Hmm.
good lick, then that's fine for me. Like a lot of people that look at my page and be like, oh, well, you interview all these celebrities, but like they don't know the hundreds of people I've emailed in the midst, right? But I've also within that one, them thousands of no's, I've gotten at least one yes multiple times, which has opened a lot of doors for me. I've also been able to make money off of my content. Now, is it the money that I really want to make? Not
Right.
right now,
Right.
but I see value in my company and I see value in what I do. So if it made me $1, I know
Hmm.
that there's value in it because I made $1. So I can make two. Maybe if I do this extra thing, I'll
Hmm.
make three. I'll make
Right.
four. And
Right.
once I started kind of changing up my interview style and being more personal, asking the questions that people want to ask and kind of figuring out the formula on this interview thing,
Hmm.
my interview started going viral.
Hmm.
I want to say it was a combination between Candy Burris, Natalie Nunn, T.S. Madison, and Soldier Boy that those 4 interviews, and
Mm-hmm.
DJ Envy, those 5 interviews were interviews that catapulted my media company from a non-monetized platform to a monetized platform. So I was making money from my interviews. So I'm like, okay, cool. I can make money from this if I continue to keep going. So like when it comes to just being discouraged, I always just look at my name, and it reminds me of my daughter and why I do it. And just because you're making $5 right now, don't mean you can't make $1,000 next week if you continue to keep pushing and being consistent.
Well, I want to say, Brooklyn, you are inspirational, as a business owner myself. But I want to say that one thing that I noticed about you is that you're not a taker,
Mhm.
you're a giver. And I could feel it in your spirit when I first met you, because there's a lot of people who, when they get around celebrities or they get
Mhm.
around people who have a lot of money, you can feel like they're like just scratchy, scratchy, just trying to get. But I felt like you were just trying to learn. And then when you
Mhm.
talk to people, you're really trying to get to know them. So even when I watch your interviews, it's not like you're trying to, like, oh, I'm just trying to interview them to, get
Get them
money out
on.
of them,
Mhm.
but just really trying to share their story. And I appreciate that about you. Keep being you. But then I want you to close with, what advice would you give to someone who is trying to build their own company that is young, just like themselves? Um, just like you.
So yeah, so the advice that I would give somebody is just continue to go. Don't worry about people not supporting you in the beginning, because a lot of things, a lot of people just won't gravitate towards until it gets popping. Until
Okay.
a lot of people wasn't paying attention to the chats I would have with my 2 homies and my homegirl on the Zoom call. You know what I'm saying? But they caught on later when I started interviewing the celebrities and all this. Like, don't worry about that. You be consistent, get all the knowledge you can get, and even in my beginner stages, I call that practice. That was practice for the major
Yes.
leagues. You know what I'm saying? So my homie Julian, he always says, it's like, man, you got this catalog, you need to show it. Don't be scared to post your work. Don't be scared to show people what you can do, because a lot of the times we'll stop ourselves from doing a lot of things because we feel like people are not going to like it or nobody's going to engage. At the end of the day, your social media is your resume. Your Instagram is your resume. That's the first thing somebody will go to before they go to anything else. They'll go right to your page and see what you post, how you post it, what it look like. So don't get discouraged. I say post that content, post the content, be consistent. And if you have a little bump in the road, that's fine, because it's nothing but a learning experience to make things better. So that's the advice I'll give to anybody that's, hustling. And again, you don't need 1,000, you don't need 10,000 followers and up to get in these rooms. You don't. Like, at the end of the day, you take away numbers, everybody looks the same. And
That's
a
right.
lot of people buy followers anyway. So let's be for real. Numbers don't mean anything. Engagements and real clicks do. And if you make good content, people are going to gravitate towards it. So just keep going and keep hustling.
Thank you so much. Bye to all the followers and viewers. Thank you, and we'll see you on next episode. Bye bye.
Most definitely. Thank you.
So we hope you liked our show. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you need any help with your college, your grad school, or career, make sure to set up a call with us. We'd love to support your family. Bye.